What's up everyone? Got a new video for today. Finally going to finish up the paint job on the 40, and to do that I'm going to be wet sanding and rubbing the entire truck, so let's get into it. Wet sanding and rubbing a paint job is one of my least favorite parts about doing the actual paint job, but it's something that needs to be done. So to do this, I first started by blocking the entire cab with 1500 grit in a block and some soapy water as a lubricant. Then once that was done, I went over the entire cab again, this time using 2000 grit on a block. And after the 2000 was done, I went over the entire cab again, this time using 3000 grit, but on a DA, because the DA is a little bit less aggressive than using a block. And once that was done, it was time to start polishing the entire cab. Okay, to compound this, it's a two-step process, and I like to use a red pad for the compound. It's a little bit more aggressive, it's just what I like to use. Some people like to use a wool pad, some people like to use a different style foam pad, but I like to use the red pad just because it seems to work best for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is rub the entire cab using the first step of the compound. Taking your time is key in this step of the process. It's not going to happen instantly, so you got to go slow. And I also like to put tape on any of the sharp edges that could possibly get burned through by the edge of the pad if I accidentally hit them. Alright, after several hours of rubbing with some compound, this thing is just about finished up, and now it's time to move on to the polish. Okay, for this step of the process, I like to use a black foam pad because it's slightly less aggressive than the red pad, and it's going to help remove the scratches that you are putting into the paint job with the first step of the compound. And so just like the first step, we're just going to go over the entire truck nice and slow until all of the scratches are out of it and it looks shiny. Okay, once again, several hours later, now I'm done with the polishing step. And here you can see what the cab's going to look like now that it's completely done. I think it's going to look really nice. Okay, now that I'm done with the cab, the next step is to do both of the doors, and just like the cab, I'm going to block the doors down with 1500, then 2000, then I'm going to DA them with 3000. Then once that's done, I'm going to rub the entire doors with compound, and after the compound, then I'm going to polish the doors, and once that's done, the doors in the cab will be ready to install. Alright, here's the finished product on the doors. I think they look really good. Now the next step is to put the cab on the truck. Alright, there's the cab installed on the frame. Next up is put the doors on. Okay, installing these doors seemed to be a pain in the butt, but I put some tape on the edge of the door and also on the edge of the cab just in case I were to make contact with it. I didn't want to chip the paint up, and it proved to be incredibly difficult because I put about 3 inches of paint on the hinges, which I probably shouldn't have done, so those were really tight going on, but I got them on there and the doors look really good. Alright, here's the truck all thrown back together. It's starting to look like a truck again, which is quite nice, but the reason I didn't want to do any of these steps is because if you remember in the very beginning when I started this project, I said I was going to paint this truck flat black, but everybody had a problem with that. So I changed my mind and I went with the shiny black instead of painting a flat black, which meant I had to do all kinds of extra work making this thing super straight, as well as blocking and polishing the clear coat afterwards. And now that it's done, it does look super good, but the problem is I'm too afraid that it's going to get ruined when I start to drive this thing because it's going to start to get stone chipped and whatnot, and I wasn't worried about that if it was going to be flat black, but I guess I'm just going to have to deal with that now. So, still not going to be a show truck. I plan on using this thing for what it was built for. I hope to strap some stuff to the bed, maybe haul some materials with it, but that's a long ways away. Sometimes building a huge project like this, it's easy to forget how far we've actually come. It seems like it's been forever, but I just want to throw some pictures up of what the truck looked like when I first got it, what I did to it to get it to this point, and how it looks now at this point. But there's still a ton of work left to do to this thing, and it's just how these projects go when you're one person building an entire car. So be sure to watch for more videos in the future, and I'll see you next time.